Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another short WARNO video, where I'm gonna highlight the major differences between WARNO and Wargame and Dragon, given that the majority of the you guys who watch me come from the Dragon, and making it easier to get into this game. It's not really that difficult, but there's certainly some confusing stuff or some stuff that you might simply very easily miss. So gotta make sure that you don't miss that. So first of all, of course, you're not gonna notice this too much in early access, given that there are only 2 of them, but game is built around divisions, of course, so you won't have access to every single American unit if you build an American deck, but only what said division has, In this case, of course, all the American units thus far are from the 3rd Armored Division, so technically, for now, you have access to every single American unit within one deck, but that's gonna change. Next up, you can give orders during deployment, just like in Steel Division. After you selected which units you want to start with, you can select them and then give them any order you want to, even queuing up various stuff, So you can see here, a fast move here, move there, and then attack moved a couple of times. With a fire position in between, or maybe it's because I clicked on a building. Anyway, you can do that, just like in Steel Division. Very, very useful. Next up, Recon units, unless they're in a transport like the Scout in the mud, can be deployed further forward. It's honestly hard to miss, but it's a very, very crucial thing. Kiowa Warrior, for example, and the Bradley, those 2 units especially, very, very powerful in combat as well, not just scouting. So being able to get them much further up can secure a position for much, much earlier, or at least make it harder for motorized pushes or fast pushes to get there before your slow tanks, etc. get there yourself. And like I said, scouts here, they are Recon units, but since they come in a non-Recon transport or any transport, presumably, you can't do that. You can put them in your deck without transports, but then they have to walk, and when you call them in, they also have to walk, and honestly, that's, at least on the maps thus far, not worth it. Next up, let's take a closer look to CVs. First of all, CVs don't have to be stationary anymore. This is my Command Abrams, this is my Command Jeep. Let's move the Command Jeep out. It's only the Command Abrams in here, and moving it does not uncap the zone. And vice versa, if your CV drives through a zone, it will start capturing that zone already as well. Wait for it. And you can see it's getting captured, and I captured it. That easy. The other thing is, CVs now double as leaders similar to Steel Division, meaning that any friendly unit in this circle will get a Veterancy bonus of +1. You can only get 1 of these bonuses, so these don't stack from multiple CVs, but as long as they're in there, pay attention to the Veterancy of the Abrams and those engineers, or the transport rather, you can see they gained an extra level. The next thing to worry about is Cohesion. Cohesion is essentially like morale in Wargame, except it has bigger effects. If your Cohesion is high, meaning that, you haven't really participated in combat, or your unit got time to recover, right? You get a bonus speed. If it's on normal, let's see if we can get this down to normal. Normal, no effect whatsoever. Then we get down to mediocre. You lose movement speed and rate of fire. And if you get down to low, the penalty becomes even bigger. Please don't kill the CV, thank you. Right? You also saw that the unit got stunned. If you take too much morale damage within a short period of time, you get stunned, very similar to Wargame. And the meter below this unit icon essentially indicates the cohesion damage, so to speak. The fuller this is, the lower your cohesion. Might sound a bit weird that, the bigger one thing is, the lower another thing gets, but after a while you just get used to it. And you can see it over time, it recovers again, and your unit will be fresh again very soon. Next up, you can sell empty transports like this M35. It's unloaded, they have to be empty. And you can click on the sell button, and you can even see the thing here, and it's gonna sell. Keep in mind though, that at least as of now, you, I believe, cannot sell IFVs like Bradleys. Right? See the Bradley here? Cannot sell this. This doesn't necessarily have to do with any weapon. For example, the MUD, it has an MG, but I still can't sell it. So I'm pretty sure that's just exclusive to IFVs, and later down the line to heavier helicopter transports, you know, if we get Heinz as transports, etc., you probably will not be able to sell those either. Next up, smoke launchers on tanks. You select an M1A1 CV, for example, press B or whichever shortcut you have for smoke, and then, or you could just click down but at the bottom, then you can see this, similarly to fire position, this very short line of sight where you can tell them to smoke, you know, and it's smoked here. It only has a few rounds, which you have to resupply. There's at the moment at least no indication how many you have left, but for now you have smoke on call. In fact, it looks like for now you have only one shot even. Okay, well, the more you know. It used to be 15, then got up to 5, then 3, so yeah. Bradleys, by the way, and I presume BMPs also have smoke. Just, you know, select the vehicle, press the smoke button, and see if something happens, right? For example, the CEV, no smoke launcher. Next up, buildings. Buildings can be destroyed, or let's put it that way. First of all, buildings work like in Wargame where you have these city blocks, but buildings can also be destroyed after they take enough fire. Here we go, building destroyed. You see that the outline is gone now, but the infantry can still go in there, and if you wait long enough, then you can see they still get a reduction of HE damage and a stealth bonus. So essentially, the buildings, the individual buildings, turned into a mini forest for infantry. And yeah, the vehicles cannot go in there. But they don't inhabit the destroyed buildings as they do with towns, so it works a tiny bit different. It has been suggested to make it work like, you know, city blocks, but we'll see if what comes out of that. Next up, more quality of life stuff. Line of sight tool. You can press, I think default is C for this thing here, where you can check the line of sight from any given position. Or if you click on your unit, of course, you can see how far your unit can spot stuff. This does not include stealth yet, or the level of optics. But you can do that if you click on the bottom right here. Then you can include lines for whatever optics you have, whatever stealth the enemy might have, whether in the forest or in the open. Sorry, it only includes enemy stealth and is based on the optics of your vehicle, and then based on the stealth of the potential enemy unit, and if they're in the open or the forest, you can see these lines. Of course, in the middle of the fight, very hard to make use of, but if there's currently no action going on or it's very, very slow, then you can make use of that. Another thing, and you might have noticed it already, is when you give an order, you see a line on the ground that indicates what they're doing. You can turn it off or on for all units by this button here. Or alternatively, if you have turned off, you just have, when you have a unit selected, you just press Shift, and it shows you what the unit is doing. Quite useful. And it looks like... No, never mind. I thought they fixed something, but I haven't fixed it yet. My apologies. Last but not least, for actual in-game stuff, planes, although it's not just in-game, well, I need to capture the zone first. Planes have a call-in timer, meaning that when you select a plane and call it in, it doesn't immediately spawn, but it takes a while. That depends on various stuff, most notably speed, for example. There's a very high correlation with speed, maybe even payload, etc. But for example, the Thunderbolt call-in timer of 19, which essentially means, well, it's gonna take 19 seconds to be called in. You can see it says traveling in the bottom left, and there it is now. Similarly, the Phantom 2 has 8 seconds. Let's just buy another A10 so we can compare these. And there we go, Phantom is called out, A10 is still traveling, and there it is. So yeah, don't be surprised if you call in a plane and it doesn't immediately spawn. That is definitely a new thing. Next up, a more minor thing, but if you're used to Steel Vision and you have, or like you know this already, infantry isn't divided into 2, 5, 10 and 15 squads anymore, and they don't all share the same loadout of primary weapon, anti-tank weapon, MG, at least 90% of the units, but they're a lot more diverse. These engineers, for example, 9 M16s, 1 M60 and a couple of satchel charges. Engineers here, they're only 5 men, have 5 M16s and a flash. Engineers with a dragon are 10 men, have 10 M16s and a dragon 2. And you have mech rifles who are 11 men, have 8 M16s and 3 MGs and a Dragon 2, right? So there's a lot more differences, so keep in mind and take a look at the strength number and maybe even the amount of MGs and assault rifles they have a better comparison of how these units might perform. And you also see the amount of men, of course, on the actual model. But yeah, that is something worth keeping in mind. And then Veterancy. Veterancy works a good bit differently here. There's 4 Veterancy levels. At the moment, there's no unit that you can choose for the lowest Veterancy level. Might be reserved for reservists, no pun intended. And they give much bigger bonuses than they do in Wargame Red Dragon. And as of now, I believe it has not been changed yet, high Veterancy also gives an aim time reduction. So, trust me, elite tanks, bonkers right now. Couple more things for the more detail-oriented people. First of all, the ticks for your conquest points is now a per second. You can see every second this goes up by 2. So the equivalent of 500 points in Wargame is 2000 points here. And the income tick of 260 is per minute. Also different to the 7 per 4 second tick that you had in Wargame Red Dragon. And last but not least, once again, more for the detail-oriented people. If you press escape in game, at the moment I don't think you can access this from the main menu. You can click on the manual, and which, shows you some stuff. It's currently not properly finished yet, right? It's early access, but there's some nice stuff. If you then go to tanks and go a bit down, first of all, you will see the damage calculation for AP is the exact same thing as it is in Wargame. But the heat damage calculation is the exact same as it is for AP. In Wargame, kinetic, not AP. Heat AP and kinetic AP in Wargame up until a difference of 10. Difference of 10 meaning AP minus armor was the same. And then for heat, every additional point difference dealt 1 additional damage. So for heat, you needed 14 AP difference to one shot. For kinetic, 18 AP. Now it's 18 for both. They both follow the same formula. That is, of course, unless you shoot against 0 or 1 armor. So yeah, just a very quick primer into the major mechanics difference or overall gameplay differences to Wargame. There's a bit more small stuff here and there. There's like the smart cursors, stuff like that, but that is more apparent and you should get used to very quickly. But yeah, these are the major things, some of which you might not immediately realize or might be confused by, like the plane call-in timer. So just a very quick PSA, if you will. Hope you enjoyed the game, hope you enjoyed the early access if you buy it. And yeah, expect a lot more WARNO videos to come. I plan on streaming later today as well, in case you're wondering. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you then. Bye bye.